Well, the 100% Wild series has always been our informational series.
Volume 7 of 10, Spot On. Find a better spot or make your spot better. We're going to try and give you 4 tips to do each. Find a better spot, 4 different things. Make your spot better, 4 different things.
And we're going to divulge as much information as we possibly can in some of the techniques and tactics that we've used to try and do both. Finding a better spot and making our spots better.
Join us now for Spot On. It was created for you.
Well, since we've been on board with Drury Outdoors, you know, it's just been getting better and better. This year's no different. We got another great opportunity coming our way. We're going to hunt with Stacy Ward, who's the owner and operator of Hadley Creek Outfitters. As soon as we found out, we couldn't stand it. We had to go check it out and get on his website.
$38 grossing 170 plus PNY, 4 seasons.
Just think, one of those is going to have my name on this fall.
Only thing's going to have your name is your license.
You know, after Chris checked the website out and, you know, we were immediately excited. There's no doubt about it.
Stacy. Hey man, it's Chris Ward, how are you? Well, looking at all that information on Hadley Creek, couldn't stand it. Had to jump on the phone and give him a call. All right, buddy, you take care. See you, man. Hadley Creek. Well, Eric and I knew that we were going to hunt during the rut, but what we wanted to do was go up, you know, earlier, September, and try to just check things out, go up there and hang around with Stacy, just walk over the property and look at the stands, and I tell you, we hopped in the vehicle, we were excited to go. Well, we left home late last night, and we are finally in the great state of Illinois. We're just getting ready to meet Stacy up here at Hadley Creek, and gonna go and hang a couple of sets and just check out his operation, and actually gonna look for deer tonight. Hopefully we can see a couple big ones on their feet. We're looking forward to it. We're excited to be here. Well, we get to Hadley, and first thing we do is we meet Stacy Ward, and he's the owner and operator of the business. You're not gonna put us to work, are you?
Oh, we might. Maybe we'll put you on a tractor. I might let him drive, but I don't think I'd let Mark or Terry.
That's a smart move.
It was clear to us that this man is a worker. I mean, the whole operation, that's all they do is work, and today was no different. We just happened to be there with him, and buddy, we was going to work.
When Stacy said he was gonna put us to work, he wasn't kidding.
As soon as you get to Stacy's operation, the air is just filled full of electricity.
This is Stacy's core. It's empty now, but after I come up here in November, it'll be full.
It's just shed after shed full of equipment. He's got, I think, total of 9 bad boy buggies. You know, after we checked that out, we went down the road and
we got there, and he has 2 guys that work full-time putting up tree stands for about 2 months of the year. They've got about 2,500 stands that they hang, and you know, we just kind of helped them get them ready.
After we checked out some things, we got right after it. Stacy said, hey, you guys, I'm right in the middle of planting food plots. We said, hey, we wanted to go tag along. So that's exactly what we did. It said we were gonna plant 75 acres in this one day.
Well, Eric and I decided we were going to spend the whole day with these guys planting these food plots. And well, you think it would take all day to plant 75 acres? Not with this equipment.
Oh, Lord. Stacy has lost his mind.
I guess if you're planting 2,500 acres worth of food plots, you gotta have some mega giant type equipment. I mean, he's got 2 brand new tractors, huge disc, huge cultimulcher, and you know, we went right after it. You know, Stacy told us when we got up here that everything he does is bigger, his deer's bigger. Well, guess what? His food plots are huge.
Well, after we got the soil ready with that big disc and that cultimulcher, Mike pulled that big deer up, and it was time to hook up the drill. Well, you know, Stacy put us to work again. We had to load that seed in the drill and get it ready, and time to go plant some seed.
Earn our keep, baby. We just finished up planting food plots today. I'm gonna tell you what, Stacy does everything bigger. He told us that when we got here. His deer are bigger. Well, let me tell you something, his operation is huge, and his food plot system is incredible. It's the most awesome food plot system I've ever seen. We've been with him all day and planting those big old tractors. Chris somehow managed not to tear up $250,000 worth of equipment, but man, it's been awesome. I can't wait to see what these food plots look like this fall. So I know the deer hunt's gonna be awesome.
Stacy's operation just isn't food plots. It's a working farm. A lot of his farms are working farms, and you know, he's got one guy that works just full-time for him farming. And you know, his job is to go and harvest these fields and stuff. And you know, we pulled up to one of these fields, and he was harvesting corn, I'd never seen it personally done, and boy, I wanted to jump in that thing with him.
It was just another part of the farm. It's working. They're constantly doing something, and it's just another thing. It just blew us away. You know, it's not just the fact that they're killing big deer and managing big deer and growing all the food plots they grow, but it's also, he's got a huge lodge.
This place is gonna be phenomenal.
He was right in the middle of working on it. It's 8,000 square feet. It's just another testament to the type of operation the man's got.
When I move in with Stacy permanently, this is gonna be my bedroom right here. This is the master. At the end of the day, we just couldn't stand it. We hooked up with one of his guides, his main guide, Scott, and we went and just kind of looked at some of the stands and maybe tweaked them a little bit. The boy Scott knows what he's doing.
You need all the help you can get.
You got that right. But we wanted to go look at some deer. And boy, were we shot coming from Virginia. We saw deer after deer after deer. They were in biologic plots. They were in wheat fields. They were in milo fields. All you could see was racks just sticking up out of the fields. Unbelievable. I can't wait to get up there in November.
I think first and foremost, the way to make your spot better is really one of the simplest, and it's by having the food that they need.
For us, food plots are broken down into two simple categories. Number one, a hunting plot or something that attracts deer to an area where you're going to try and hunt them and eventually kill them. For us, that's generally a green field. It's either going to be Green Patch Plus, Maximum, or Clover Plus from Biologic. Those are our three favorite food sources when it comes to attracting deer. They're generally going to be smaller plots. Secondly, a destination feed field, a bigger plot. Can I plant enough food that I still have food left over when spring green up hits? Generally, I look at a 5 to 10% ratio per acreage. If I'm hunting 100 acres, I'm going to try and have at least 10 acres of that in food, and the bulk of that's going to be in the destination feed field in the form of either beans or corn.
When those hard winter months set in, they've got to have grain, beans and corn, making sure that that carbohydrate is there and that level of fat is on them so that they can survive those harsh winters. Then there's also supplemental feeding. A lot of states don't condone it. Some states it is not legal in, but there are certain states where it is legal. And being able to use the supplemental products that they have out there today is just a year-round means of having that smorgasbord in front of them. And we're off. God, what a perfect day. This is awesome, man. We've had some terrible temperatures the last couple of days. It was 91 degrees day before yesterday. Yesterday it was 96 degrees, and right now it's 65 degrees. So it's dropped 30 degrees literally in pretty short order. Even this morning it was in the 80s. So we've had a 20-degree temperature differential here within the last 2 or 3 hours. Oh, I only got 2 arrows. I hope she's close. One thing about it, I won't shoot too many does tonight. And we've got a little bit of mist and rain falling. This is absolutely perfect weather. I'm still hunting here in Missouri. I've already shot my buck on my birthday, September the 20th. And here it is today, October the 4th, which is my sister's birthday. It's Sister Nancy. She's between Mark and I. We have a sister between the two of us. And with it being her birthday today, maybe we'll have a little luck. It's only been a year since we've been here. But this group, it looks like it's been 2 or 3. I gotta do a little trimming. Here it is, October the 4th, my sister Nancy's birthday. And you know, in years past, that's always been pretty lucky for us. So we'll see what the evening will bring. We're heading to one of our favorite spots. We call it the Eagle's Nest. Well, we're sitting here over the top of a small field of Green Patch Plus, and you talk about make your spot better. We just got it just far enough as far as the edge of the field to where when they walk by, they're going to be pretty close to within bow range. arrows in my quiver, so I had to make that shot count. She is done. Well, the Hoyt did its job. You know, I was able to make a successful shot. We had to search a little bit to find her. She didn't run very far. The Rage did its job, and luck would have it, it turned out to be a tremendous evening. Well, we took the mature doe out of the group, or I felt as though she was the mature doe. I wanted to get her away from where we were hunting, and I didn't field dress her there, drug her out. I want to field dress her here in a different spot. She was definitely the mature deer in the group, which sometimes those are the ones you want to get out of the herd. So anyway, now the work starts. I'll get her field dressed and we'll get her hung up and get her in the locker right away. But great deer, great hunt on my sister Nancy's birthday. So it was a good evening. You know, Nancy's birthday turned out to be pretty lucky for me. I wonder how Mark will fare there in Iowa.
Finding a better spot, or more importantly, making your spot better. By definition, it's not always about where you plant, but sometimes, like I found out this last season, it's about what you plant.
Well, we got a little bit of a look at him. Nice buck out here in this bottom field down here on these beans.
For the last few years, I've had an interior field, a food plot planted in corn. And I really wasn't getting the wildlife eye in and around this area that I thought I should be. What those deer feed on in the summer is very important because beans is definitely their preferred crop of choice, and it's their preferred crop of choice whenever they start to fully develop. And I started losing some deer out by the road. Some new bean plantings had popped up to the south, and I decided to try and rebut that or go against that by planting beans back in this little interior field. My plan in this part of the farm was twofold. One, I wanted to suck those deer off the county road and get them down into a bottom field. Two, I wanted to have a strategy so that if I got a north to northeast wind the first week of October, I could take advantage of a biologic food plot. First of all, the summer part of my plan. I had a wildlife eye that I ran for a solid month. I put it on daylight color. I wanted to see if I could suck some of those beautiful bachelor bucks into that bean field, and when I found out, I had a smile on my face. Okay, so I feel like I made that spot better. Now, the season hits. You know, we love hunting the early season, but I cannot wait to turn that calendar date from September to October. Bow season in Iowa has arrived. You know, we love to try and architect our food plots for different times of the year. I had one particular plot that I had specifically planned for the first week of October, but part of this plan needed a weather front. I'm banking on the fact that I'm going to get at least one cold front, and generally in October, that cold front's going to be accompanied by a north to northeast wind, which is exactly what I needed to hunt this biologic field.
October, what a beautiful month. It's the month of color, truly. Tonight there's no color for John and I. We're back in black. We're going to be black from our waist up. We're going inside an Ameristep blind, and we do not want any of these deer looking at us, to the point that we're going to take our scent blocker suits, turn them inside out. It's going to keep us disguised inside that blind. Yesterday and the day before, record highs right around 90. It's now 63. It's the highest temperature we've seen. It is a 30-degree drop in temperature. The moon's on the rise. It's October the 4th, my sister's birthday. We'll see if we have some luck.
Man, I love October. I really like November, but since it's October, I like it the best today. Season's open, my first hunt of the year here in Iowa. Can't wait to see what tonight will hold.
So here we are. It's me and my good buddy John Williams. We've had such good luck together. We're on the inside of this Ameristep blind we decided to turn into the Men in Black. Well, it didn't take long, and these bucks started to move. You could tell this cold front was working on them.
Can you believe that? What a start. I opened this window and there were these bucks. This is awesome. We've already seen like 7 bucks on this biologic. Some views, John can get, some views I can get. That's why I brought my handy cam. It's just fun being out here October the 4th. We seen 7 bucks. Are you kidding me? Rising moon and a cold front. We're in the right place. Hopefully we'll get a shooter out here, but if not, we're just having fun.
We are loving life at this point. It really doesn't matter if we see a shooter, but it sure helped when we did.
There's a pretty nice deer coming right here. We got it done. We got it done from the ground. Right here on the ground. Oh, what a giant buck. That is a nice buck. That's awesome. Big wide rack. When I first saw him coming, I got the handy cam on him because I thought he was a young buck that had been in earlier. Closer he got, the bigger he got. And he's been in and out of the screen, nudging does after other bucks. And I just hit him perfectly right there at 18 yards from the ground, out of a blind, my first deer ever out of a ground blind. Was that fun? Hit him perfect. We got it done on October the 4th. Woo! That is a nice buck. That's awesome. Look at that, Johnny. Oh man, did that broadhead do a trick. He didn't go 60, 70 yards. He's awesome. What a nice buck. And what a nice evening. That marks probably the 3rd time that John Williams and I have ever sat together. And one time was last year during the rut. We had a little 2-year-old come under us. And then on January the 9th, the 2nd time we filmed together, I killed a 169 off this same field. And then tonight, here we are, starting the season off October the 4th. 90 degrees yesterday, 61 today was the high. Most of the day it was in the 50s, misty, rainy, and sat that biologic field, and out walks this beautiful, beautiful 8-point. I am so tickled with him. I think I've got some wildlife eye footage of him this summer, and I try to monitor so closely a lot of different fields during the summer just to see what's hanging out. And you know, when I first saw this deer come out, I wasn't sure how big he was, and the closer he got, the bigger he got, and that's a good thing when you're filming. I kept looking at him, all that mass, and I was like, my goodness, that's a big deer. And he's slicked up because it's early in the season. I'm used to looking at him in the rut, and then I saw his body. I said, he's a giant. He dwarfs everything else out in the field. He came in, put in a show, eating the maximum, walking right there between us and the timber, got within 19 yards, and luckily the Tricon found its mark, and we found the deer within a matter of minutes. Found him during daylight. We went and got the light and wanted to do it upright. What a beautiful buck.
What a great way to start the season. We had a plan. We wanted to make this spot better. We switched to food source. It showed some fantastic summer footage, and then we enacted and went one step further. We planted a biologic field to try and suck those deer off of those summer beans into biologic and then hunt them on the first northeast wind. There really is a method to our madness, and you can make your spots better, but it takes a little pre-planning in the off season.
We got it done from the ground.
So I had a beautiful Iowa bow buck on the ground. Now I'm headed to North Missouri. I'm gonna see if Terry can spoon feed little brother one more time.
See this? It's Lucky. Lucky apple. Tonight's the night. October 5th, I've been here shooting does. Killed my buck on my birthday, September the 20th. Mark shot his at his farm yesterday on October the 4th, which was Nancy's birthday. He shot a buck on his farm. I shot a doe on this farm. And tonight you may kill a buck again.
Well, we'll go give it a whirl.
Go get it. You should just be able to stay sitting and not even have to get up.
Perfect.
I think, if I remember right.
Tired as I am, that's exactly what I need.
Well, strap in. Good luck. See ya. Hello. Brother Mark is one of those guys, you like to spoon feed him a little bit and you like to put him in the tree that's right. And I do that by enhancing the spot. I like to go in and around one of those Clover Plus fields, particularly where the set is located, and go about 25 to 30 yards out, and I fertilize them all summer long.
Going down to a beautiful, beautiful clover field. This field is where I saw the first good rack bucks I've ever seen on this farm. Oh, what a comfortable little set. This ought to be fun. Down here getting spoon-fed by Big Brother. He's tagged out. So now I get to hunt all of his best spots that he hung all summer, sweated his tail off. He's been spoon-feeding me for years. Maybe I can return the favor and hunt.
Well, I don't mind spoon feeding him because he's on that same mission that I'm on. We're gonna try and harvest as many does as we possibly can.
Man. I was lucky enough to shoot a really nice buck last night. And I'm shaking worse right now than I was, wasn't it? That was awesome. That was fun. Terry's got this laid out just perfectly. Took this old pasture field, turned it into corn. We got biologic Clover Plus back here to the west. Doe fed in just absolutely perfect. Gave you the bow shot that you dream of. And I was lucky enough to get her good. Immediate blood with that rage broadhead. That thing is impressive. Find a better spot or make your spot better. Both here tonight. Thank you, Brother Terry. That was fun. I enjoyed it. Terry planted this corn to push this little corner right here. Left this little beautiful staging area, green clover, that type of stuff. And you turn this way. Boom, beautiful lane into Clover Plus. That corn serves a couple different factors. Number one, it's bedding cover. All the deer we saw got up, started eating in the corn, and came from the corn tonight, not the woods. Number two, it pushed the movement right against the woods, right against his tree, and down into the Clover Plus. So you can really structurally do a lot with corn because it's so high. It's the perfect height, perfect cover. Gotta love it.
Turns out Brother Mark was lucky, and we had a pretty good evening. So we'll see what tomorrow will bring. We love this weather. You can start feeling that little bit of chill in the air. We'll see how long it lasts.
Boy, what a nice end to 2 fantastic days here in the Midwest. My 2 favorite states to hunt. Iowa last night, 140-inch 8-point. Missouri tonight with Brother Terry. Beautiful Missouri doe laying here in front of me. Find a better spot, make your spot better. It's hard to beat the Midwest. We love hunting here where we grew up, and we try to do everything we can to make each spot better. Great, great end to 2 wonderful days. Find a better spot, make your spot better. Man, how fulfilling. How much fun can it be out here bow hunting in the Midwest? Love it. Terry will be happy.
Sometimes finding a better spot may be more of an execution of finding out what's within your spot. We do this by game monitoring.
We're really kind of isolating it now and breaking it down almost into a snapshot. If you have found that spot, the all-perfect spot that you want to hunt, but you're not seeing any movement, well then by all means use the game monitoring and find out when they are moving on different locations in your particular area.
Terry and I have literally been shocked year in and year out at some of the animals and some of the quality animals that have been roaming around in our hunting world. We would have never known this had we not had that game monitoring camera out there. Years ago, we depended only on our vision. What we saw is what we thought was around our area, or if we found a shed, we knew he might be in the area. With game monitoring, you know what's there, and it helps define what spots within your spot are the best ones to hunt at different times of the year.
Sometimes one area of a farm or your particular hunting area may get better before another area. So make sure that you are constantly monitoring the cameras, much like the cameras are monitoring the deer. Because if they're popping in one area and you're sitting in another area not seeing any movement, then you by all means need to be moving to that hotter area.
Game monitoring has literally changed the way we hunt, and it can help you find a better spot.
Well, it's the summer of 2006, and Bill and I, we've made big plans for this year.
A couple of particular deer we got, we were pretty impressed with. One had a double main beam on his right side, happened to be on Dave's ground.
We were driving the roads one night, I think it was the 9th of July. We jumped out, we hiked across the bean field and stopped and glassed and immediately saw a really nice buck.
A double main beam buck that we had captured earlier on Wildlife Eye footage. Dave was telling me he was pretty excited about having this deer in his neck of the woods. Pretty anxious to hunt this deer this year.
This particular bedding area that we had seen this buck going into just happened to be a spot that we were scouting this spring. We found a real nice trail with a lot of nice rubs on it, and I think it was probably going to be a good area to hunt come this fall.
It's going to be a travel corridor if it's anything down here.
All in all, I think Bill and I have about 50 to 55 sets. We should have plenty of stands up for this coming fall. Now that all the stands are prepped, it's time to get at the food plots. I didn't have access to any big machinery, so Bill and I made a trip down to Cedar Rapids and rented out a little dirt digger. Looked like a little cultivator, mini cultivator, and disc. We hooked it on the four-wheeler, and it worked pretty well for us, really did. Well, all the food plots were in, the stands were all prepped. Now all we had to do was wait for season to roll around.
Weatherman was calling for a south-southeast wind today. We get in here and it does a complete about face and it's blowing north, slightly east, which is completely not what we want. So we're back in quite a ways and we don't expect to see any movement till about 8 o'clock anyway. So we're gonna sit here and see what happens. I probably won't hunt this spot again.
Well, I got my binoculars up and immediately saw that right beam, that extra beam, and I knew exactly what deer this was.
It looked for a moment it was going to be all over with. He was stomping his feet, head bobbing, getting ready to take off.
I thought, oh no, it's all over.
I think I just stroked him. Yes, he's down. That's a 4.5. He's got a double beam on his right side. I didn't know how big he was, but I think he's in the 140s. I can't believe this. I don't want to act like a dork, but don't worry, buddy, that is early. I have never shot a buck this early in the season. Yes, we're off to a good start, buddy. I'm done already. What do you do? You follow me.
Both of us were so pumped to have a deer down on the ground earlier than either one of us has ever shot a buck. This is right where that buck was standing. He was standing right on this scrape. He hadn't worked it yet, but and then he turned and come around the backside and had a shot right through that pole. And here we are, right here.
We just crested a small knob in the timber there, and I could see a patch of white hair laying on the ground.
Key, buddy. Right there he is. Let's get there. Boy, it's amazing how you can come into a spot. You picked this stand last spring when we were shed hunting out here and actually scouting scrapes and rubs. We found some real dandy rubs on this ridge. There's a bluff that drops off the backside. I had targeted this deer back in July. We got him on Wildlife Eye and we got him in some summer velvet. I knew that if I got the opportunity, I was going to take him, and you know, that's something that doesn't happen very often. You actually come into an area knowing he's there, but to actually be able to put it all together and have him show up at the same time you're there is pretty unlikely. But he rubbed a tree, worked that over for about, it seemed like a long time. I drew on him when he come down through, and for some reason I was at full draw. For some reason he pegged me in the tree. We had a little stare down for, it seemed, well, probably 10 seconds. He turned, walked around the backside of a bunch of brush, and I got him stopped in the only opening I had. I think it's a hard shot. Look at the gaping wound that Rage Broadhead left in him. Just a beautiful, beautiful buck. The earliest I've ever shot one in Iowa. What do you think, Bill?
I think I need one now.
It's real special to see a deer in the summer like that, target it as an animal you want to hunt, and then put it together by harvesting that deer in the fall.
Yes, we're off to a good start, buddy.
The most exciting part about the hunt now is that Dave's done and the rest of the season is all mine.
You know, this year I was a little bit more excited about Minnesota because I got permission for a large tract of woods just outside of my hometown. Well, I talked to the landowner and he'd give me permission to go put some food plots in, so I got some biologic plant in there, and we're gonna hunt all over, and I know we're gonna see some good deer this year. Well, we sat on a food plot, or some of our food plots. We seen some does, and we sat up on some ridge tops, and I rattled in some nice bucks. We had like a 9 or 10 pointer come in, and a real nice 8 pointer up on a ridge shelf, and you know, just a little bit smaller than anything I wanted to shoot, like 130s, and I wasn't going to shoot them.
These last 10 minutes have been the best we've had in Minnesota in a long time. It's an hour, 10 minutes before dark. We already railed in 3 nice bucks, 2 3-year-olds and a 2-year-old. That one there was 130, 135. But I've already seen them pile up in that big in here.
They're just a little bit smaller than anything I wanted to shoot, and I knew if I stuck around I was going to see some nice bucks in there. Well, it's mid-October. We're going to head back to one of my little favorite spots, my little honey hole. It's a big side hill. It's real thick, it's all bedding, and we're sitting on a bench in the middle of the side hill. It's misty out, low pressure systems are coming through, and you know, there's some giant deer in this property. There's a big 10 and a big monster 8 on this farm, and then there's another nice 10 pointer, but we looked for one of them, or there's a couple other ones that are nice, but we're gonna try to slide in there. I talked to old Justin to come down and film me, so we're gonna try to slide in there and see what happens. But it's kind of misty out, it's kind of crappy out, but you know, you can't kill them if you ain't in the woods. Well, we snuck in the tree and got all our stuff ready, and I barely got my bow ready and my belt on, and Justin looked down and he said, there is a great big monster down there working up a scrape. And here stood this 8-pointer that I got so much velvet footage of, and I'm like, this can't be true.
Justin, it's that big 8, he's a giant.
His luck will have it, there was like 4 does bedded right below us 40 yards away, and he turned and left the scrape and walked along the hillside, and he busted them all up, and he was running right towards my tree stand.
A good video. Yes, that thing's a monster. It's a pig. I knew when I seen him down that swamp like 2 weeks ago, he was 160. I knew he was. I don't know, he's a 155 for sure. Oh, that's a monster. I just smoked him too, didn't I?
Oh my God.
Oh, dude. That is a big, big buck, dude. Congratulations, man. That thing is a monster. Awesome, man. Awesome.
Busted off inside him. I seen the arrow. The fletching is about 3/4 of the way through the other side of his body. But I mean, I hit that high lung. Best shot out there in my opinion. But I'm looking right there, and there is a monster flood trail coming through here. Oh, there he is.
You kidding me?
No.
That's awesome, buddy.
I worked my tail off this deer. Check this monster of a deer out. Well, I'll tell you what, me getting this deer consisted of 2 things. The weatherman telling me the windows are gonna be the right way, and me getting out of bed in time. You know, we got in here, I've hunted this spot one time, and you need a south-southwest wind. And it's been out of the north for the last 2 weeks, and we hopped in here, the window's gonna be right. First thing, as soon as we got in the stand, we were there 5 minutes, and Justin spotted this guy down below the stand, working up a scrape. And we watched him for a little bit. I looked at him through my binocs, and I put him down, got my bow ready, and about that time he was just leaving the scrape. He walked about 50 yards, and out of nowhere 4 does got up, and they flustered everywhere as he started chasing them, and well, one big doe come running right up to us. And it was almost picture perfect. He come following right behind her like it was the peak of the rut, you know. He gave me a perfect shot, and I put it on him, and I just smoked him. He ran off, and we're celebrating. We're all pumped up, you know, and I look off, and I could see another buck working up a scrape. Well, I said, Justin, watch this. And I hit the grunt call, and that buck come right in too. It's just like this morning, they're just rocking, you know. We had low pressure system, and it was misty out, but the deer were working good, and this guy come rolling right in and gave me a perfect shot. Don't happen very often, especially to me, but I'm gonna enjoy this little moment. What an awesome deer.
You know it's a rut when you're driving in at 240 and there's giants standing next to the road. Standing there tending a doe. They're locked down, what we call lockdown. You gotta get with those does. The does don't move, they don't move. Hopefully we'll catch one chasing one around or come to this green field. Man, what a big buck, nice big 8-point out on his feet. All right, the southerlies have hit. It has warmed up. Time to go to water, and we're going to water in a big way.
I bet he's cold. to smell our tracking. We got our boat parked by good buck's eye here. That's always a good thing. We should have tied them.
All right, I take my maiden voyage on our new ship. We get across the water, up the embankment, and into the stand.
We're nestled in. It's November the 3rd. I don't ever remember having this feeling this early in the rut. These deer, I mean, we're seeing bucks with does, dogging them. We're seeing bucks in the road ditch just standing there looking at them. Typically, this week is when they're cruising, looking for does, coming to a food source, you know, trying to find the first available doe. There's does that have popped all over the place. This rut is earlier than I've ever seen it in my life. So now the tactics got to change a little bit. You know, we're still sitting here because this is a good gathering ground before they head out to the feed field, so we chose this stand anyway. But tomorrow we're gonna shake things up a little bit.
All right, we love this spot. I haven't hunted it yet this year. Terry had killed a deer out of it earlier this year, and we're just sitting here waiting. Last year, we saw all those bucks on October the 31st. Now we're into November. Certainly, there should be a good one on his feet. We're hoping.
That's a giant, really big buck.
I can't believe it. Giant body. Comes, goes right past our field. We've got a doe underneath us, into the draw. I've got a prototype of the new Mad Grunt Snort Wheeze. Time to pull it out.
Oh, there he is, Stephen.
Comes in, I can't get a shot. I have to call him back.
I don't have a shot there. I don't have a shot.
He's leaving again. I've got to get this deer over here. Finally, about face, he hears it. Here he comes right through the biologic. He's coming through. I'm thinking this is a chip shot. Even I can't screw this up. Guess what? I can screw it up. I absolutely overbleeded at that deer, spooked him, off he goes. He runs out there, turns around. What was that?
There he goes. I'm about to fall out of this tree. I don't even believe that. All I did was went mack, mack. I guess because he'd been in once, he came back in. I had a beautiful open lane to him at 30 yards, biologic. I've called him in twice now. He just was sensitive there at the last. I don't believe that. God. Bye-bye.
You know, as we were leaving back out on the boat that night, I was thinking about that snake. We were a little bit snake bit that night. Snake bit because we didn't close the deal, but what a beautiful encounter. Big giant on his feet. First really, really big mature deer we've seen. It is on. Can't wait for tomorrow morning.
Well, you know, maybe the oldest practice
in trying to find a better spot is by networking.
You can network in a lot of different ways. You can go to shows, you can talk to your buddies, you can get on the internet. There's a lot of different websites that are dedicated to archery hunters or to deer hunters. The Bow Site, Archery Talk, a lot of different boards that are dedicated specifically to hunters. You can get on there and learn what hunters are learning all across the country.
Networking is still the oldest tradition, and sometimes the best way to find out. You literally could go to different shows, and there are deer classics in each and every state that hold them each and every year. There's the Archery Trade Show, there's the National Wild Turkey Federation, the SHOT Show every year. So there's different ways of finding out where those hunting holes and where those different locations are and some of the most sought after spots. It's hard to get in on the ground floor, but sweat equity is usually one of the oldest traditions that I think a lot of the farmers and landowners still appreciate a great deal. So never be afraid to do that. But networking is the answer to finding out where those hunting holes are at.
Another thing I might add to this particular section is don't be afraid to book a hunt. Try to research an outfitter when you're at these shows. Talk to them, see what kind of deer they're killing. Talk to some of their references. Booking a hunt with a quality outfitter may be the quickest and easiest way to find a better spot that I can think of.
You know, it was September. We had a great couple days out there. We came back and, you know, fall is progressing quickly. The leaves are changing. It stirs you inside. It gets you going.
When you start seeing those leaves turning, you know that November's just right around the corner. Guess who's up to bat first at Hadley? Me. Well, we are finally leaving Virginia. We're heading to Hadley Creek in Illinois. We're going to hook up with Ben Rising and Tim, and I tell you, we are ready to get out of VA and ready to hit Illinois. Cannot wait.
Hallelujah! Woo! You know us, man, we only know one way, and that's to go until we get there. So we drove all night long, and the next morning we had a beautiful sunrise waiting on us and rolled straight into, I tell you, a place that we knew we were going to have some fun at.
Well, the first thing we did was hook up with Stacy. He already had a big buck in the back of his truck. He wanted to take us to the cooler. And brother, they were laying them out. There was deer laying around everywhere, big bucks just as far as you could see. To say we were excited was an understatement.
Earlier in September, when we were there with Stacy, he was had his 8,000 square foot lodge was in construction. Man, did it ever transform. I mean, this place is absolutely breathtaking. The amazing thing is, this is only one of 4 just, you know, great accommodations that he's got, and you know, just another way to make a perfect trip.
As soon as we left the cooler, we got back to the lodge and unloaded our stuff, and you know us, the first thing we want to do is get those wildlife eyes out. Unbelievable. We just got here to Illinois, Hadley Creek Outfitters, and we're going right now to put out our wildlife eyes. It's the first day we got here. That's one of the farms we're going to put our wildlife eyes on, so that's a pretty good sign.
We picked a couple big scrapes with a lot of licking branches hanging in them. You know, we knew we were going to get some great footage.
Well, first morning at Hadley, we were in the timber, had a good encounter with a 2-year-old, not what we came for. Scott was excited, said that evening we were heading to a cut cornfield. Well, the evening goes on, and we're just seeing tons of deer. They're coming out from everywhere. Last 15 minutes of light, a giant steps out into the field. It's that time of the year, the deer comes out and he's checking all the does, and I didn't think I was going to be able to get him in, but I hit him with the grunt call and the new doe bleat. He was interested, but unfortunately he went and checked some does, and that was it, game over. But I tell you, what a great first day at Hadley Creek.
Well, we knew that Hadley Creek was going to be good to us, but we had no idea. We ended up hooking up with Jared. He's one of the main guides there, and he'd already guided Riser and Odell to a great buck, and then, you know, Tim and Ben had taken great bucks also. So we hooked up with him and went to an awesome little bean field.
My 20-some odd years of hunting, I've never ever seen anything like that. I've always wanted to see a buck breeding a doe. I just got to see it at Hadley Creek. That was some of the most unbelievable things I've ever seen in my life. Last night we were in here and we had 2 big bucks chasing these does around. Tonight we have this big buck come in and breeds this doe right in front of us. I've seen more deer than I've ever seen in my entire life, more big bucks, and I just can't get them in close enough, so I don't know. I think I'm doing something wrong. I had seen everything that I could possibly want to see as a whitetail hunter, and as we were walking back to the truck that evening, I just told Eric, we're switching off. I've got to change my luck somehow.
Well, with the rain setting in on us, we just couldn't keep our camera equipment out in it. So we ended up moving. Scott wanted us to move over to a shooting house in a standing soybean field. And I tell you, I mean, I knew we would see some deer, but little did I know what we were going to see.
The night progressed, we saw several deer, and it was getting closer to dark, and we happened to notice some does coming in behind us, and the same bucket we had the encounter with earlier in the evening was behind them.
Oh man, I'm gonna come apart right here. Oh, what a deer. What a deer, what an experience, man. The last 6 days, this has been the most magical place I've ever been in my entire life. I kid you not. I can't tell you how many deer I've seen in the last 6 days. I wish Chris would have been really behind the bow because he stayed behind the bow for 6 days. He saw more shooters he's ever seen in his life, but they've all been 60 yards, and tonight, my first time behind the bow, 40 yards, but I'll take you, my friend.
Good job.
I love you, brother.
Love you, brother.
Virginia boys finally got the monkey off the back, baby. Yeah.
Well, Eric absolutely smokes him. We knew he did, but you know, Hadley Creek's policy is you don't leave your stand, and it was getting late. There's no use to push the deer, so we just elected to wait till the next morning, go and recover him then.
That's a good sign. Hey, look right here. Look right here. All right, baby, give me some. All right.
Well, I can't tell you how much fun Chris and I have had here at Hadley Creek Outfitters with Stacy and Michelle Ward here in Pike County, Illinois. This journey started back in September when we came up and helped these guys plant some food plots. Saw all their big deer on their food plots, and you know, here we are. It's November rut, and the last 6 days, I have sat behind that camera and I have witnessed some of the things that I've been wanting to see all my entire life. Bucks breeding does, bucks chasing does, making scrapes, you name it, I've seen it. And Chris and I swapped up, and we went and had to go down in the rain last night and get in a box blind. And sure enough, on the beans, in the rain, we made it happen. I mean, these guys will work their tails off to get you on deer, and they have a ton of big deer, and I really do appreciate it, man.
Well, congratulations. We'll try to accommodate you as best we can on anything. We had some rain, and we made it happen anyway.
Oh, I tell you what,
It's a class act, it's top shelf. It truly is a magical place, and it's been a time of my life. Well, I finally got a deer down. We finally got the mucky off her back. It was a great buck, great hunt. And you know, we went and pulled our wildlife eyes, went straight to check the footage, and man, I tell you what, we floored.
That's a pretty good buck. Look at those stickers and stuff.
I think I know this buck. I think he's a bobtail buck.
What do you mean?
Well, he doesn't have
Look,
a tail.
he don't have a tail.
I mean,
You know, not only did we getting great scraping activity, but we decided to try something new this year. We threw a wildlife eye out on a signpost rub. Well, sure enough, we ended up getting, you know, some smaller bucks coming in and working the tree. But man, what we've been waiting for the last 2 or 3 years using these wildlife eyes was a giant, I mean great 140 class buck, 10 point, walked straight into the tree. And you know, he did everything that you dream of as a hunter. It was just really cool to watch that deer work that tree over.
Well, we've got one great buck down. It's my turn to get behind the bow again. And I tell you, it's just been one of those seasons. I've had the worst luck. I can't get anything done. But, you know, I'm in good hands. I'm not worried. If anybody can get me a deer, it's these guys. Well, obviously my luck hasn't changed. It was the last day of bow season in Illinois before gun season started. And we went to a biologic field, and I'm climbing up into the tree, and I get trapped. Deer come out, and I have to literally lay down on the ground before I can get up in the stand. I just can't catch a break. And again, just nothing big enough, couldn't get anything close enough. But tomorrow morning, I'm trading off for that new TC Pro Hunter.
Opening day, baby, you ready?
I am. Let's go do it.
Let's go trade your luck.
Yeah.
We head out, go to a biologic food plot where we'd had an encounter with a good buck the night before.
You talk about frustrated. I was frustrated. First morning with the muzzleloader, I went in, first day, biologic, no shooters. Second morning, go in, had a great 3-year-old come in, rubbed a tree in front of us. Just didn't want to take that deer, needed a couple more years. I was frustrated.
Somehow with this muzzleloader, Chris's bad luck just keeps going on. Seeing a lot of deer, but all of a sudden our big shooters just disappeared on us.
Well, because of all the wildlife eye footage we're getting, Scott felt confident we needed to stick to that farm. So it's the last day, last morning, we're going into some timber. No kid. I think it's about over. We've got about...
You've had the worst luck of any hunter I've ever seen in the last week and a half.
Somebody said I'm not living right.
Maybe you're not.
Right here's a deer. Right here's a deer. No, right here. It's a buck.
Which way is he going?
He's coming across it. He's right here. Coming across this ridge. It's a shooter. It's a shooter.
Keeling. Keeling.
The end result. What a week. Oh my gosh. Oh my gosh. I've been the king of encounters this week. It's just been horrible luck for me. Horrible luck. This place is unbelievable though. I've never seen this many big bucks, this many deer in my life. You talk about the fourth quarter. We have 2 more hours to hunt, and we're heading back to Virginia. This is the last day of our hunt. Boy, he almost got away. He was just on that ridge top. Finally, yes. Now the fun part, get this safety belt off, go get my hands on it. Well, this is the end result of easily one of the best hunts I've ever had in my entire life. We're here at Hadley Creek Outfitters in Pike County, Illinois, and let me tell you something, these guys have really taken care of us this week. Scott Bradshaw, one of the main guides, has put us on big buck after big buck after big buck. I was hunting with my Hoyt bow earlier this week, and they were all hanging up at 60 or 70 yards, and it was our last morning, and Scott put us in this deep hollow because it was windy, and I traded off my bow for my new Thompson Center Pro Hunter. And let me tell you something, did the trick.
We got this buck on the wildlife high.
Did we really?
I think so, if it's one with no bobtail.
We got some with kickers.
Yep, that's the one.
It's been a special week here at Hadley Creek, and just couldn't have asked for more.
Well, you know, I think a lot of these techniques and these methods are really, really so simple that sometimes we overlook it. We try to recreate the wheel, and that's not always the best option. And Mark and I steal a lot of valuable information from Dr. Grant Woods. He's been instrumental in teaching us and assisting us in ways to make our spots better. One of the simplest is creating cover.
Deer seek it, they have to have it, they have to feel secure. Enhancement of that cover, whether that comes in the form of timber stand improvement or the addition of warm season grasses, can benefit your own spot and make it better. We also like to use control burns to go in, get rid of that forest floor, let some of those natural grasses and forbs erupt. You can combine the two, let the sun hit the ground because you do a select cut, and then go in and burn that ground clutter to let that natural forage come up.
Then there's also the means of planting different types of grasses, whether it be native grasses such as red, blue, Indian grass, or planting something as tall and as hardy as switchgrass. It takes a little while and it's hard to get it to grow, but boy is it effective. Having that cover on the perimeter of your properties allows the deer to bed on the perimeters and then feed on the inside. That's a technique that Dr. Woods had disclosed to us, and it's been working quite well.
I've been hunting this farm for 10 years, and what we've done to try and improve this farm in the last 10 years, mainly improve the habitat, and that's been to go and selectively cut out like your box elders, try and create thickets and bedding areas for deer.
We built some fences, try to get the deer, you know, so that the deer would use our food plots and keep the cows out of our food plots.
Comes up from the bottom here. Cows pasture on this side because they come down from the neighbor's land, and there's some springs down here where they water. And what we found is the deer were just pretty much crossing everywhere here because the fence was in pretty rough shape. So we ran 5 wires, made them nice and tight, and we left an area up there where the fence was good enough for the cows, but the deer could really cross it real easy. And we left it maybe 40 yards, 50 yards wide. If everything works out, you know, accomplished 2 things. We put up a nice fence for the farmers, and at the same time we took advantage of putting a new fence in, and we left a little opening for them. So good enough for the cows, but a deer will probably cross it. So got a full load of gear on the Polaris, and I think we're gonna go hang some tree stands now.
When you talk about making your property better, it's one thing Tom and I love to do. Make things better, new food plots, make spots thicker for deer habitat, everything.
What we got here is there's actually quite a bit of cow pasture. It wraps all the way around this bluff. And there's this little spot back in here where we always used to like to hunt up in here, and there was really never any food source on this part of the farm. So what we got here is probably about 2 acres where we're gonna fence off. We gotta run a fence down there, right up to about here somewhere, and then back that way. We're gonna put in biomax in here, corn, soybean, and I think what we'll probably do too is run five good strands of barbed wire back this way and put a good set back in here to try and funnel the deer in from the south end of this food plot, hunt it with a south wind. So we're just trying to expand our food source here. Try and get a little bit more nutrition for the deer. It's March, we're fixing this fence up, we're running them tight as they can be. We're gonna get this fence in and we're gonna see what happens this next fall. I would say that this isn't the straightest fence in the world. I don't keep the calls out.
We're not professional fencers. It's like a guitar string.
So we get this fence built, and I think what we're gonna do is this spring we're gonna put Biomax in half, probably spray the other half really good. We'll come back this fall, we'll put some Maximum or some green patch in. That's 3 bags?
That's 3 right there. Fertilizer, seed.
So we have everything for the new side then.
Disc. We got our checklist.
So we forget anything, Lenny?
Yeah, I gotta take the ball hitch off.
Oh yeah. Wait for this for months. Oh yeah, when we tried mixing our own last year, we had way too much corn. See that? There's gonna be more food in this 1.5 acres this fall. Unbelievable. That's all beans back in there. August 20th today, and this is an 1.5 acre patch of Biomax. We put it in this year. You're kind of skeptical as whether the beans would make it up through the corn, but you wouldn't believe the amount of beans that are in there. This is going to be a solid food plot this fall. I think we're just going to take it right around this back edge, which is where our tree stand is. And if it's mowed off, kind of like this is, then we're going to go ahead and we're going to disc it in or whatever, and then September 2nd, 2 weekends from now, we're going to get back in here and put Biologic Green Patch Plus or something back along that back edge right next to our tree stand. I'll tell you what we got here is the back half of this Biomax. This weekend, September, what is it today, Lenny? 2nd?
Second.
And now we're putting all of our food plots in, and we got about 1 acre of Biomax here, and it's just getting hammered. And Clay went and he disced this like back 10 yards of this food plot. And we're gonna put some green patch in here. Green patch or maybe outfitters blend, I don't know. All the work we've been doing all year, we're gonna finally find out if it starts to pay off. When November rolls around, that's usually when things start to heat up. Northwest. Only problem is it's 11 miles an hour.
Yeah.
It's just been so darn windy, but we got a northwest wind, and to hunt our beans, you need a northwest wind. It's probably the best wind for this bean field we got. So I'm gonna go up on the beans. I'm not real confident because it's so windy, but you know, when we get up there, we'll see what happens. It's a northwest wind. If it's not real windy, I'm gonna stick it out. I'm not going here tonight.
What do you mean you're not going here?
We haven't been seeing any deer on our food. I'm not gonna go here tonight, not these winds. It's pretty strong out of the northwest. Let's go to the flat. I know it's getting late, but I'm gonna pull the switch. I might change my mind by the time we get down to the bottom. We're down off this bluff. We're gonna go back in the valley, and we're gonna go on a spot that we call the bench food plot. And again, it's up on this bench. We went in there this spring. We cleared it out. We got a mock scrape. We got some bucks coming there to that mock scrape. A couple nice bucks. Nice 10-pointer, a buck we call Mr. Rogers. We got 1, 2, 3 nice shooter bucks on that food plot. We're gonna get in there, it's in the woods. We're gonna sneak up there, it's getting late, but we're gonna see what happens.
Man, it's November 2nd, we got an evening hunt here. It's been real tough in the evenings for us. We'll see what happens, hopefully we'll catch them coming down off this thick point here and catch something before it gets dark on us tonight. Well, that's a shooter. I got him, I drilled him. He's down right there. saw him for me. Boy, it happened fast. I was telling Clay it didn't feel good tonight. We just have not been seeing deer in the evenings. That's a beautiful 10-pointer.
We followed him down that logging road into where he cut into the woods. And we're like, you know, let's just get out of here. Let's go back and get your dad, Clay. And we'll just take a few minutes, review the tape, and see what happens.
What'd you see, Dad?
I saw a 5 or 6 month old possum.
I gotta ask you something. Watch this for me.
Ooh.
What do you think?
Congratulations.
We decided it was a good hit, got back out in there right away.
We're going in the woods and we're following the blood, and Clay sees him first. He could have been 40 yards past where we last had blood when he ran up in the woods. Ended up being a 12-pointer. He's got a really nice sticker off his main beam on the bottom, another sticker off his G2. It was a great hunt. Glad I pulled the switch. If I wouldn't have pulled the switch tonight, if I wouldn't have got up in that food plot, I probably wouldn't have got one. Well, the evening of November 2nd, what you won't see on videotape is we've never killed a buck on November 2nd on this farm. So it was a first for this farm. And we hunted on a bench. And what it is, it's a natural bench on the side of a bluff. So what we do, we plant green patch in there every year. And then we go around the outside edge of that food plot and we take off all the licking branches so the bucks, any of the bucks that want to scrape on that food plot up in the woods, they can't do it. And the reason why we do that is then we bend over a tree, we make our own mock scrape so we get the deer, the bucks, to scrape and use that licking branch right in the area we want them to. And I think the very same evening of the day we put that mock scrape in, we started getting bucks on our wildlife eye on that mock scrape. And this was one of the bucks that was coming in there. He's a beautiful 12-pointer. Typical 10-pointer, he's got this other 4-inch tine coming off his main beam, this kicker here. Really nice animal. What a perfect start to the rut here in Wisconsin. So the only thing left is to take this deer home on top of Pink. You know, I got my Pink car out here in camp. My son and my daughter, they want to see all the deer I kill. So I take my deer to school and they're looking at it. And then my wife comes home from work, the deer's in the garage and she takes a look at it. You know, and as my hunt comes to a close, I'm thinking, you know, the bench food plot paid off. We'll see what happens with the fence jump. But I'm also thinking, you know, what can we pull out of our sleeves for next year? I got my deer the evening of November 2nd, so Clay's got the whole farm to himself.
I know where I really want to go, but I really don't want to pick it because as much grief as I gave Tom about this fence jump idea, it is a good spot. It turned out we sat it once already and just saw the deer worked it perfectly, but I really don't want to pick it just because I know Tom is going to give me a hard time about it.
You're going to let a coin flip determine your fate?
Yep.
You'll flip it and you'll still switch. That's my prediction.
Tails is the fence jump.
Yeah, okay.
Okay.
And then heads is what?
Heads is the other spot.
What's the other spot?
Tails.
Okay.
There you go, fence jump. See, then you don't want to go there.
So he flips a coin, he gets the right coin flip. Here we're gonna go back to the fence jump.
You know, we get in there and all of a sudden I heard some crinkling and I look, Tom's pulling out a plastic bag with socks in it.
Wearing rubber boots, my feet are gonna sweat. So even though we stop a couple of times on the way in, I got this plan, you know, I'm gonna take care of my sweaty feet, so I'm gonna change my socks at the bottom of the tree.
Well, we're back in at the fence jump, we call fence jump. Tom came in here this spring, fixed this pasture fence. This tree stand is in the perfect spot. The only bad thing is the wind. So we're hunting with a southeast wind, which is what we got this morning, blowing our scent up that draw. So it's calm. It's supposed to be calm till like 10 o'clock, and then we're supposed to get some light winds, but this should be a good morning. The moon is just setting. The sun's coming up, moon going down. Beautiful morning. Still, quiet. I'm expecting to see some deer this morning.
The moon is setting, the sun is rising. It's an absolutely beautiful morning. It's calm, the thermals are going just like we need. We have a doe and a small buck come in and just kind of move around a little bit, and The sun is just starting to come up over the ridge, and it's right in my eyes, and I really can't see real good into the thick brush. And I hear a grunt up in there, and I hear something. I can't tell where it's coming from.
Right here, Tom. Where? There's a buck coming down the hill here. Right here.
And all of a sudden I see this deer coming down the ridge.
Vic.
Fence jump. I tell you, this stand, Tom had this idea to come in here, fix this fence. There's a pasture out behind us, and there's pasture below us, and the fence was crappy. We had to stand up on top of this ridge last year, and there was deer crossing all over through here. So he had the idea to come in here, fix this fence all the way down, and would hang a stand right in this corner. And what's happening is all the deer are funneling right up through this, right up along this fence, and either going over the top, or they're coming over the top and coming right down along this fence, right down into the valley.
You know the best reason why you killed this deer off of this stand?
Why?
Because Amy said we'd never kill a deer twice.
That's true.
We give this deer some time. We get down to go track.
Much as I hate to admit it, Tom did a good job on that one.
That's nasty. You're intimidated just by looking at it.
He is laying right there. See him? Right
I see his belly.
at the fence.
Right at the fence.
You know, we walk up on this deer, and immediately I recognize this deer as a buck we call Mr. Rogers. We got him on our wildlife eye. It's one of the bucks that I really, really wanted to get a crack at this year. When he come down the hill, I didn't recognize him for two reasons. One, I couldn't really see, and for two, I didn't know what deer it was because he was all busted up, even though I didn't see that when he was coming down the hill.
Well, deer hunting for us is a year-round thing. We're constantly trying to find ways to improve property, improve our food plots. We're trying to think of ways to do everything. For 10 years, we've been trying to manage and put in new food plots, make the habitat better, find ways to outsmart deer. This year, we really concentrated on getting our sets, our stand sets, where we could actually be within bow range of a deer every time he walks by. It worked exactly the way it should have. All the deer funnel right up along the fence and come within 30 yards of that stand, no matter where they are, up or down from it. And it's absolute perfect, and it's exactly what this buck did this morning. He was looking for a doe. He come down over the hill, right along the fence. He was gonna head right down along that fence, and he was 15 yards from the tree. We nicknamed him Mr. Rogers because we think he spent a lot of time on the neighbor's property, but it's just, we just improved our property a little bit better, and it made him want to come over to our valley. Whether he was looking for does or I don't care what he was doing, but he made it over there, and it was just an excellent morning.
So it's the end of the year now because Tom killed his deer, I killed my deer. We had one common denominator, and that was the pink car. I don't know what it is about that car. Every time we got that car, we end up getting a nice buck and somehow we got to get it on the back of that car and take it home. It's just, for some reason, that car is just really, really lucky for us.
Big buck down in Kansas. Yes, oh baby.
What an awesome deer. Well, it's time to head to Iowa. We got the truck loaded up. We're gonna head down to southern Iowa. We're gonna get in the stand and see what happens.
You know, every year during the rut, we try to go somewhere new, and this year we're going to southern Iowa, and Eric's been down there, hung some tree stands, did a little scout, and he says there's a lot of sign down there.
Well, we got into this spot, and the beans are supposed to be picked on this farm, and they weren't, and there was a whole bunch of deer in these bean field right here. It looks like a big food plot. We had to wait for them to walk off. We buggered a couple, but we seen 3 bucks and about 6 does. They all went up into these drainages right up in front of us here. The farm looks good. There's a lot of sign. We've already seen some good deer movement, so we'll have to see what happens. That's a nice buck. Well, that's a nice one. We're gonna have a lot of trouble this week. I can see that already.
Well, the first morning we seen a couple pretty nice bucks, but you know, they just weren't big enough, and they're pretty well on the does, and they were nothing gonna come in.
It didn't matter what we do. Eric tried throwing the kitchen sink at them. These deer would not respond to a call.
These darn deer were getting me frustrated. I was calling, doing everything I could, but they just weren't coming.
You know, I could tell that Eric was starting to get a little frustrated. We were struggling.
Well, we're having about the worst luck you can even imagine in Iowa.
Well, I said, you know what? We're gonna try something dumb tonight, Jason. We're gonna try to sit the old lone oak on the wrong wind and see if something funny happens tonight.
The wind's about as possibly almost as bad as it can possibly get, but we figured we're trying so hard, nothing's working right, so why not try something stupid? But you can see a lot from here, and there's a lot of deer here, so we're just gonna get sound blockered up and see what happens.
I hit him right in the high shoulder blade, but it tipped him over, and you know, it was unbelievable how that night worked out. We've been having bum luck, and the wind was absolutely blowing in his face, and the old scent blockers did their job. Boy, who'd ever known this is gonna work out? We've been having a tough time in Iowa. Deer movement stopped, you know, they seem like they're locked down already. And we figured, you know, Jason, we've been having all these encounters of smaller bucks, and we're gonna go up and try that lone oak tree up there in that bean field. Even though the wind is wrong, we're gonna just go try it, you know, and try something stupid for once. Well, stupid is what we did. We walked right in there, got in the stand. We were only there probably, I don't know, 10, 15 minutes, and a doe and 2 fawns come out in the field. They were feeding for a while, and then all of a sudden our group of does come out, and they fed for a while, and across the field we could see this 9-pointer or 10-pointer. We'd seen him before. He was feeding right towards us, and this guy popped out of nowhere. I don't even know where he come from. And all of a sudden I could see all the does running again. Well, at the end of the field, this guy popped out and started checking the does, and he seen that buck. He come walking all the way over to him, and he sidestepped all the way in, and pretty much walked that other buck right past the stand to get him out of that field. Well, the other buck just kept going, and this one stopped to feed about 50 yards. I hit the old new grunt, and he just come right into the tree, you know. It worked out perfect. He come right to the base of the tree and gave me a good shot. Hit him a little far forward, but it was still a fun hunt, and it's kind of weird how things work out as good as they did. You know, the wind was completely wrong, but we were sound blockered up, and what a fun hunt.
That was fun.
I think another great way to make your spot better is oftentimes overlooked, and that's a water source. Some of the historically best spots that Terry and I have ever hunted have been because there was a water source already present. Well, what if that water source doesn't exist? It's not that hard to go in and try and create a water source.
You know, the NRCS office will assist you in creating this structure by coming out, taking a look at it, deciding how much watershed is bleeding into this particular draw or drainage area. They'll also assist you in the drawings, and they'll assist you monetarily to where you can get this thing constructed.
And one of the magical things about water is if it doesn't exist in a lot of different areas and you have it, you can bet it may be the biggest magnet and the best way to make your spot better that you could ever imagine.
So it really ranges everything. If you're wanting to build a small little water puddle or a hole out in the middle of the timber, you can take a small grading tractor with a blade and build it yourself, or you can have a large body of water that someone's going to help you with.
It gets even better when you couple it with a food source. Add water, add food, and all of a sudden you've got everything. Water's especially effective in the early part of the season when those temperatures rise, or during the rut when those bucks are moving a lot. They got to go to that water source to get a drink.
All right, John, I think what we're gonna do, here's the map of my farm. Well, John met me in my office, and I have a good map of the farm that we were gonna hunt the next day, so we're devising a plan on how to walk in along the river with no intrusion at all. Because the river's so low, you can walk the bank all the way back, and there's my stand right there.
We were going to utilize the river, come in the back door on the deer's bedroom, as we like to refer to it, and we felt like if we could get in there and not spook anything getting in the tree, we'd be set.
I mean, it's a natural point for them to come down to drink. Obviously, it's going to be a little warmer than normal, so we've got that going for us. This is what I call, you know, my deer hotel, and this is a set I've been waiting to do. This is the set, so I'll be surprised we don't see anything. So a south wind blows right over a river. We cannot get winded here at all. We're hoping that big dog cruises through this bedding area looking for a doe. I think we're in a good spot. It's the right time of year. No one's supposed to get warm. We gotta get out here and stay after him. So.
Well, sure enough, everything went as planned. We got up in the tree, and as it's getting light, I noticed deer, but they're on the wrong side of the river.
He was trying to find a spot to come down.
Well, we pulled that nice buck all the way to the river. Mad calls are good, but making the buck swim the river, that's an act of higher powers.
After a nice mid-morning snack, Dave and his Pop-Tarts, we were sitting there, and I just mentioned to Dave that we should see something anytime, and sure enough, here comes 2 shooters right down the riverbank. Only this time, they're on our side of the river.
John was coaxing me into shooting the near one, but I just had my sight set on that back one. I don't know, for some reason, he just looked like the better deer to me. And I was kind of contemplating going back and forth, and then when I finally decided that that's for sure the deer I'm taking, I couldn't find a shooting lane.
Last spring when Dave and I hung the set, apparently we didn't clear enough shooting lanes, so you know, the deer got into where they should have been shot, but because we didn't have enough lanes, they got out of there unscathed. But you know, we're gonna get those lanes cleared for next year, and one thing we learned about that spot is it's the right spot. If you go in there at the right time with a south wind, you'll probably get a shot at a nice buck.
Well, you know, it's getting warm, and John and I decided to mix it up a little bit. We called Kurt Ritchie because we know one of his farms that he hunts has an interior pond. This pond set is totally secluded. It's, I mean, totally hidden right off of a food plot, but basically it's gonna be to drink today because it's gonna get warm. And Kurt said go ahead and head out. It's on actually a farm that he hunts. He's already done this year, so he said go ahead, and we thought, you know, if any bucks are up chasing does, they're gonna need to visit that pond, and or the does are gonna at least drag them to the pond. You know, this particular buck, we both thought he was 3.5 years old, but you know, he's just an 8-pointer. We kind of, you know, hem-hawed whether we should or we shouldn't, and you know, I just said, you know, I'm gonna elect to pass him. I think there's better ones yet to come. John was more or less trying to entice me to shoot that deer. And I'm like, I'm not gonna do it. I'm gonna wait for something bigger. And not even 5 minutes, we looked this way, and this one's already in on us. So I mean, it was fast. I put the rage in the cage, and you know, most unlikely of days to kill a buck. It's 66 degrees. It's probably 3:30 in the afternoon, but we sat by this, and even though he didn't come near the water, he was probably cruising through, checking to see if does, checking scent lines because he knows does are going to go to water. I mean, just a perfect game plan that actually got executed for once. That is the best feeling right there. That is the feeling. He is an awesome buck. Wow, look at this buck. Look at those main beams. He has just got main beams that just won't quit. He is just an awesome buck. You know, it was getting warm yesterday, and it even warmed up more today, temperature-wise. And so we hunted all afternoon over a pond set. You know, and that's what you have to pick your spots. Pick your spots wisely. Today wasn't a day to be over food or deep in the timber. You had to be near water. You know, those deer were coming to water today. You know, when it all comes together like this, it seems like it was meant to be. You know, I didn't get one last year, and this one's certainly worth waiting for this year. What an awesome buck. I'm just glad to have got off the schneid, I guess, from last year's bow hunting debacles, but this one's in the bag now. He is awesome. What a buck.
Well, this 2006 season here in Ohio was quite a challenge for me this year. Things started off good this summer. I was seeing some of the biggest deer I'd ever seen velvet-wise, and I was after a deer that I'd been after for 2 years and got a lot of velvet footage of that deer. Progressed into the season, a lot of pressure started getting put on that deer, and long story short, the deer ended up getting harvested by another hunter, and fortunately for him, it was the biggest deer of his life, and it was a fun time at least chasing that deer. So our hopes were down really bad. We thought, man, you know, we're just never gonna get a buck. But you know, we just stuck with it. We was seeing some good deer on their feet. But as the season progressed, things just seemed to get worse and worse for me and Tim here in Ohio.
It's October 18th.
Well, it's October 22nd. It's October 23rd.
We were just having a rough time getting on a good buck and getting him within bow range.
Did you film him at all?
Well, as November rolled around, which was the time we were really hoping for, we'd come back from Illinois and we'd had some good success out there, and we couldn't wait to get into a tree here in Ohio.
Tonight we're on the stand that we've not hunted at all year. And we've got doe bedding on all sides of us, except for this way. And out here's a cut bean field. And there is a little bit of bedding here too. But basically on 4 sides of us, we're in a little patch of open woods right in the middle of some serious bedding cover. But I think the bucks are with the does. We'll see what happens.
Sat there, we seen a nice buck right at dark come through there cruising looking for does, but he just wouldn't work to a call and he wouldn't come in. But he made a scrape out in front of us and it gave us high hopes that there were good deer in this area.
Well, it's been kind of quiet this morning. We've had a couple does, but there ought to be some bucks on their feet because it's a drizzly morning, it's rainy, got a little bit of wind. It's about 8 o'clock already and I thought we'd have seen something. Dude, that happened fast. I just looked up. I was getting ready to rattle the horns. I said, you know, this could be a good morning for a catch a buck cruising. I'm just getting ready to bang them things. I look up and here's this buck cruising coming right to me. It's like, oh, camera out of the bag. It's raining. Yeah.
Settled the pin, took my time, and made a perfect shot on this buck. And he only ran like 20, 30 yards and fell over. It was awesome. It was a great way to end my Ohio season here.
Look at that. Smoke City. It's like Tim says. You know what that means? Stick a fork in them. Laying right there. Right there. There's a hot doe in here, dude. There's a hot doe here somewhere. I need to get my dad over here.
Buddy, look at that bad boy.
Well, here's the 10-pointer. He's not an absolute giant, but boy, he's a rotten fool. He was in here last night, and I think it was this same deer that we had come in and make a scrape. He come to the grunting, but he wouldn't come all the way in. He knew where he was headed, and he got off there. Well, this morning he come back from the same direction, but he was making a beeline right to us. And I can't be any more happier with this deer. Me and Tim are on a roll. This is our 3rd buck on film this year. That's good for us, so we're loving life right now. We're on top. We're on cloud 9.
It just proved that, you know, you just got to have persistence and you got to stick with it. Lady luck will be on your side eventually, as long as you're putting yourself in the right spots and you kind of use your head and figure out what these deer are doing.
Finding a better spot might just entail owning your own piece of property. There are actually realtors that are popping up all over the country that specialize in recreational ground. Go into the internet, Google land for sale or land for sale in a particular area or state, and you'll come up with a myriad of different realtors. You can then start to blend them down and look at the offerings that they have. Pay close attention to those aerial maps and plat maps. Know what you're buying. Are you buying a bedroom? Are you buying a food source? And who are your neighbors? Some of those things are going to help determine just how productive you can be on that piece of ground. If it has income either from tillable or CRP, it may even help you make the payments. Whether it's 20 acres, 200 or 2,000, you can find a better spot. And there is no substitution for owning your own ground, making those management decisions, and making that spot better when you want to.
But if you're not in the market to buy, then there is always the option of leasing a particular parcel. And when you do that, by all means, do it long term. We've seen it time and time again where a guy will go in and lease a piece of property for maybe a year, he'll harvest a big deer, and then all of a sudden someone comes in and leases it out from under him. So if you can, get in on the ground floor, strike some kind of agreement. Nowadays you have to put it in writing, but by all means do it long term. And if you come into hard times, there's always the option of subleasing or taking on an additional partner. So you don't have to necessarily buy, you can also lease property so that you got something, you can manage it and hold it long term.
Well, it's November 9th. We're sitting right across the street from State Wildlife Area. The deer have been moved onto our property from all the bird hunters. We haven't really had many good encounters other than the encounter that Joe Eichster had on November 3rd.
That wasn't an encounter, that was a kill.
That was a kill.
So I get this big buck coming right in, I draw back, my hood's up, I got a lot down, pull my mask down, re-hook up, and when I go to pull back, my arrow flies off. So I quick grab another arrow, and I look over and I have a little opportunity there for a shot, and I get really excited, and next thing you know, I let an arrow fly, and I just smoked him right through the heart. You can tell he's hurt really bad. I look up at Eric. Eric's telling me he didn't have him on, he wasn't on him. But you know what, that's hunting, I didn't care. It was a really big buck, and I was still really excited to have just shot this big mature animal. First time in on this farm, and what a nice buck.
Great location, location's everything.
It was everything we were hoping. It was just a small spot, 12 acres, but it was right next to a wildlife hunting area. This place gets pressured real hard. Nobody's been over here. We knew that these deer were going to be needing a nice sanctuary, and we wanted to be the ones to provide it for them.
Bought the property, planted a bunch of white pine, some oaks, some maples.
Eric was kind of thinking investment at that time, but I was really wanting to prove to Eric that this could be a really, really good spot. July 22nd, it's hot. We're down here, we're working on our food plot. This particular food plot is chicory. I really like chicory. Beautiful stuff. It's got to be mowed and maintained though. We chop it off down to about 6-8 inches. This will be the third time I've chopped this particular patch, and what it does is it just keeps the field cleaner, more regrowth, more lush chicory for them. You don't want your patches to be too big when it's along the timber like this, is my opinion. You want it to be within bow range, you know, 15-20 yards. Have corn on the one side, it works really nice. What I like to do is a lot of times I'll back right in the woods, and I'll make a main entrance that goes right underneath the tree stand. So when the deer are chasing in the fall in November, it just funnels them right up past your stand. Another thing I like to do is have a lot of overhanging branches along the edge of the woods. Those are there for a reason. We want the scrapes all along the edge of this woods. What I just did is I dropped that chopper down, got rid of everything growing here. What it does is it starts, even though it's only July, it'll be the beginning of an overhanging branch, a licking branch, a scrape. It just starts the whole process of deer coming in. It's pretty neat. There wasn't a whole lot of hunting opportunity on this 12 acres, so we had to create the perfect little spot. It was trying to find out if there was really big bucks in the area, and we put out the wildlife eye. We're overlooking a soybean field here where you can see lots of activity as far as where they're eating on the beans, and we're gonna leave this here for a few days and see who's coming out in this field. They're eating along the edge of the soybeans as they're heading for the water that's just right behind this corn here, about 30 yards. Let's see what happens here. Wouldn't you know it, we have 3 or 4 big mature bucks hanging out right there in the food plot, right in the biologic. Things were really looking good for us. We decided to stay out of this place until 3 things happened. The one was to have all the activity over in the DNR push the bucks onto our property. The second was to wait until the rut started, and the third was to have the wind just right. And come November 3rd, next thing you know, I'm shooting this big mature animal and the cameraman's not quite on him. So we went back to the farm, grabbed Jacob, loaded him up, brought him out with us, and he helped to drag out this big old buck. Season was off to a good start, and things were really looking good in our new hot spot.
Joe shot a beautiful buck on November 3rd. We're going back to the same spot.
Makes his way to the thicket, but I have no shooting lanes. Too many small twigs to take a shot. He just struts his stuff. Nice big 10-pointer.
Wondering if I should have taken a shot on that buck, and there he was, the split G2.
Now we've got just a little bit of light left, probably 20 minutes of time before it's time to climb out of stand.
We've had so much activity tonight, I think I'm gonna try to grunt him back in, you know, right here at the end of the night. Hopefully that big guy's back in there still.
That's what I'm talking about.
No way!
What is that, buddy?
I think that's the G2 buck right there.
A moment I've been waiting for a long time. Carry a picture of this buck right in my wallet.
He went down right there.
Oh, it couldn't have turned out any better.
Oh, man.
Oh my God. Part of you is saying, boy, that wasn't a great shot. And part of you is just like, yeah. You're just happy because, you know, the quest, I call it the quest for something that you've been hunting, is over. Had some opportunities last year, filmed him late December, just a beautiful buck, and the quest for the split G2 was over.
We ran out of light, so we went back and got the truck and pulled it back in here so we could get a little light. We've hunted him for a couple years now, and he's been on my farm quite a bit. Got some great wildlife eye footage and had some, you know, one encounter last year in particular where he came by me. And I videoed him instead of taking him, and he wasn't as mature, even though he had a lot of horns going last year. He just wasn't the mature whitetail that I really was hoping to see him get to. And this year he's got the mass, he put on the body mass. He's 4.5 years old and kept saying my prayers on stand tonight, bow hunter prayers I call them, and it's paid off. We've hunted real hard. This same stand now is 2 for 2. Couldn't be more tickled. I know Joe's been working hard to hope to get me a chance at this buck, and thanks a lot, Joe. Been a pleasure.
I guess we're gonna have to keep this farm now, huh?
We're gonna have to keep the farm.
Well, here's a time of the year that we always look forward to. November the 11th, opening day of Missouri firearm season. 43 degrees, we've got the wind in our favor, a northerly wind flow. I can't wait to get to this particular box blind.
Well, here it is, 5 after 9, and I'm switching spots. I'm going to an area where I think the security cover is a lot tighter and it's closer to the field. And I honestly feel like we could see a deer crossing from one side of the field to the other.
All we did was went to the cabin, picked up some lunch meat, some bread, a few sodas, and we're heading back to a blind. The reason I'm doing that is because that moon is still overhead, and you hear us talk about it all the time. As long as that moon is overhead, those deer are going to be on their feet. They may bed down momentarily, but they're going to be back up, particularly with this cold weather. Man, it is cold today. So we're going to head into another box blind, try and keep our feet warm. We're going to make our sandwiches in the box. This is kind of like I don't know that you really call this hunting. It's more of a recreational event, probably, than anything. These boxes make it so cushy, you kind of get a little bit soft in your older age, I think, whenever you sit in a box blind all day and you just kind of wait for the deer to pour onto the food plots. Well, you want a real rush. You get into Missouri and you've got some big deer, giants running around, and then put a firearms in your hand. The playing field has now been leveled.
Nice deer. Nice big 8-point. 130, 135 inch 8. Really, really good deer.
Well, this evening was no different than many others. You know, the deer start pouring onto the food plots. We started seeing some bucks and some does, a lot of chasing, some feeding, a little bit of grunting, some rattling, scraping. It turned out to be a fantastic evening.
Wow, things are starting to happen.
Just another good evening. We were going to be a little bit particular the first day or so. We had 1 or 2 deer on our mind that we were really looking for, but that turned out to be a fantastic evening, first day of Missouri firearms.
Oh, this guy's hard to caught.
Just a bevy of different deer. You know, one of those evenings when you get to look at a lot of different deer. They were chasing each other back and forth across the field. It was pretty exciting as the evening shaped up.
That's a pretty nice deer. Big, wide, 8-point. He's actually got a broken G1. So he'd be classified as a 7, I guess you'd say, but he's an awfully nice deer. Looks like a big 4-year-old. We passed him today.
You know, as luck would have it, we see this big 9-point. He's 50, 60 yards of the box. He's a little bit too young. It wasn't exactly what we were looking for, but he put on the show of all shows. Well, the second morning of Missouri firearm season. You know, we got a southerly wind flow, although the temperature's in the low 20s. It's a crisp, cool, brisk morning. Couldn't wait to get in the tree.
I'm gun hunting one of my bow sets. This is actually a spot for a bow. My theory was, with the moon the way it is, the moon is still directly overhead, that they'd be in and around the food source. So I slipped into the timber, feeling as though there wouldn't be many deer in the timber right now. You know, it's weighted, you know, you try and access, beat them to bed. We've talked about that before. So as long as that moon's overhead, they're bedding in and around that food source are fairly close, and then they work their way into the timber as the day progresses. So we just try to beat them in here.
Beautiful footage. This deer was literally point blank, 30 yards, could have killed him with a bow. We elected to let him pass. We didn't want to shoot past the cameraman. It wouldn't have been very wise on our part. He got into the timber and then couldn't get a shot at him. So we thought, well, he's on his feet, up and moving. Maybe we'll get another opportunity.
You can smell him. He was directly upwind from us. You can smell him. He's pretty strong. That's pretty encouraging, though. I mean, he was well within bow range. Nice deer. Nice deer.
It just so happens this deer was highly visible. 4.5-year-old deer. We nicknamed him the Perfect 10, one of the most frequent deer on the farm in front of the wildlife eye. I had tons of footage of this particular deer. I knew who he was. He had extremely sharp brow tines. Well, we didn't get a chance to harvest him that morning. Maybe we'd get another look at him later in the season.
You know what? We're always accused of being late getting into a stand. Well, look how early we are. We didn't make this morning's hunt, but we're making this afternoon's hunt early. We're kind of making up for it. We're gonna trick them today. Here it is. It's still Missouri's firearm season. Today is Tuesday. I don't even know the date. Tuesday, November the 14th. We're gonna go sit a spot. We've got a southeast wind today, which is very unusual, and we've got a big weather front moving in, supposedly coming in from the northwest, ushering in some more rain and possible snow flurries. So we're gonna go sit some midday stuff here and then jump into a box blind later this afternoon if we get wet. But we'll see what happens. Could be good, could be really, really bad. We don't know.
Well, November the 14th, something magical about that date. You know, when you talk about the middle of November and you're hunting Missouri firearm season, you've got to be enthused about getting out there.
He's not gonna leave her. He's trying to, that little 1.5-year-old buck's trying to get in there. That was cool. Pretty neat. Here it is, 5-1. First time I saw a glimpse of him, I heard him. About 12:30, I heard him grunting and chasing her up there. He came through. She got up here close to this 1.5-year-old buck. 1.5-year-old got too close. He chased him off, and she's trying to get around, but that's pretty cool, pretty neat. It's a cold, damn, dreary day. Perfect rut weather. I love it.
You know, we had some really neat things going on there. We saw a squirrel that was dragging around one of those big hedge apples. It's an Osage orange. I know some states don't have them. In Missouri, they're really plentiful. But to see a squirrel trying to move that hedge apple around and then consume the whole thing was almost humorous.
He tried picking it up and moving it. It's big as he is. The only thing I could relate that to is if somebody gave you an entire watermelon and said, here, eat that.
He ate long enough where he finally did consume the entire hedge apple. It was a great day, shaped up just like you would like. Temperatures were cold. November the 14th, we were excited about the evening. Couldn't wait to go try another spot. Well, we got into another box blind. This was on a particular field where we'd seen several deer. We were fired up about getting in there because we knew we were in kind of a tight, constricted area. It was kind of foggy. We started to get this heavy mist to where, you know, it was almost bone chilling, and the fog was setting in. And on those types of days in the middle of November, when the rut's at full tilt, the chances or the odds of seeing a big shooter are pretty good.
That's a shooter. That's a 4-year-old. That's a shooter.
Put the shot on him. The deer didn't run another 60 or 70 yards and expired. It was the perfect firearm scenario.
Well, I may have to go get some lights. It's starting to get late, but I'm gonna go check for blood first, and then I'll go get some lights and see if we can't find him. We've had a real overcast day today. It's misty, almost a heavy fog. They're calling for a big front to move in, and we talk about it all the time about hunting. These fronts, they're two things: low pressure, high pressure. And either when a front's moving in or a front moving out. Well, the front is moving in tomorrow. We're supposed to have rain all day tomorrow. And it always has a tendency to make those bucks get on their feet and move. There's good blood. In his belly, right here. Maybe none bar. Cool. Great deer. Nice deer. Cool. I know the buck. I know him well, actually. I've got a ton of footage, wildlife camera footage of this deer. And he's one that I was after, actually. Well, that's pretty cool.
You know, we were waiting on a 4.5-year-old deer. This particular deer, we knew the age. We've got a tremendous amount of wildlife eye footage of this deer. He was one of those that liked to pose for the camera. and we had kind of an intimate relationship. He truly was one that we were after. Well, what a wonderful ending to a Missouri firearms season. It hasn't been lengthy, but it has been, you know, somewhat trying because the deer haven't been on the fields like we had expected. There's a long story with this particular deer. I've had several encounters with him, but he's probably been the most visible deer on the farm. I've got just a tremendous amount of wildlife eye footage of this particular animal. So there has been quite a history with him, and the evening ended just as grand as you would like. You know, he came out, he was nudging a few does that was in and around kind of a patch of timber there. You don't really get to see him on the field, but he was scent checking them. And we had a dingy gray evening. It was misting and kind of foggy, you know, one of those evenings that you just absolutely live for as a whitetail hunter. Getting back to the history though, this deer, I've got shed antlers at age 2.5. When he was a 2.5-year-old, we picked up these. He was a homeboy. Here he was at 3.5. So he was a nice deer. You know, he had a lot of potential. He's got great G4s. And then here he is at 4.5. So, you know, we knew the buck, we knew him very well, so the long history with this particular deer has ended, and it's ended in grand fashion. Well, we were just tickled to harvest the deer, and I couldn't have been happier. The next day we grabbed him, pulled him out, did some photos. It was just a wonderful way to end the Missouri firearm season. One of the easiest ways to find a better spot is to just collect some information, and the information is out there.
We're really talking about identifying the exact spot that you're going to key in on. There is a clear roadmap to success when it comes to quality or quantity.
And if you're into it for quality, there are B&C record books and information that's out there that you can readily access over the internet and find out where all of those big deer are harvested.
As Terry stated, B&C, Pope and Young, all of that research can be done, and it clearly tells you what areas of each state produce the biggest bucks year in and year out.
If quality is what you're after, that information is there. Then you have to decide, are you really looking at quantity when every time you sit in a stand you want to see 10, 15, 20 deer a setting? Well, there are areas that have a vast quantity of deer. You can seek a conservation department and ask them to divulge some of those records and harvest reports. Then you can slice it up and decide, can I get both quality and quantity? You know, what's the perfect marriage?
Some of that may depend on your very definition of a better spot. It might be that you want less pressure, you want to see fewer hunters, you want a better quality hunt, but yet not see as many animals. Those statistics are out there as well. Look at the harvest data from each individual state, and you can clearly tell how many licenses were purchased, how many deer were killed, and you may be able to get away from some of that pressure, and by that define your better spot.
You know, there are some public areas in each and every state that exist that I think maybe are some of the best kept secrets out there. Don't ever forget or don't overlook those public lands that may or may not get hunted too heavily.
I'll tell you what, it's hard to believe it, but the Kansas deer season's almost on us. We're going to go in here today and mail off a bunch of seed, or biologic seed nonetheless, to our good friend and landowner here in Kansas. I tell you what, it's going to be here before you know it.
The landowner that we lease the property on in Kansas, he's a good friend of ours. He's just a farmer, and he's always planted your normal crops. But, you know, this year Eric and I decided we're going to turn him on to some biologic.
See who's paying for it. Seed's in the mail. It's going all the way to Kansas in a couple of days. Our landowner will get it. He'll start tilling up the ground, and I tell you what, November will be here before you know it.
You know, our Kansas lease is one of these situations that we obviously can't go out there to plant the food plots, but we have a good situation is the landowner, we've turned him on to this biologic seed this year. He's our right hand out there.
He told us that the food plots in 30 days were phenomenal. They were lush, they were green, and the deer and the turkey were just absolutely lighting them up in the evenings. And you know, he said he could just tell that they really were turned on to it, and you know, it's got to be a good sign for this fall. For Chris and I, it's not just about going and getting in a tree stand every fall. It's kind of a progression of things, the emotions that you feel in the fall. It's the changing of the trees. It's all the beautiful colors that you see every fall. It's the pumpkin field at home. But one of the big things for Chris and I, it's Friday night football.
It's the chill in the evening air just before a Friday night game. It's the roar of the crowd. It's the students and the families pouring in. You know, it just stirs the emotions inside of you, and it's just a natural progression for fall. You know, when there's Friday night football already, it's deer season's just right around the corner.
here we are. It's our favorite time of year. We're heading out to our favorite spot in this country, and that's Kansas.
You know, when we leave our homes in Virginia, we leave a small, close-knit community. Everybody knows their neighbors. And we drive all the way out to Kansas, and we end up in the same type of atmosphere. It's just like going back home.
This trip is fast-paced, fast action, one way. We're not stopping till we get there.
Well, here we go. One of the first cities we get to, Charleston, West Virginia. Got to be one of the prettiest capitals in the world. Busy intersection, the traffic's just going in and out. Love Charleston, West Virginia.
It's midnight. We're rolling into Louisville, Kentucky, home of the Louisville Slugger. And what a city it is. You know, the river goes down along the side of the city, and every color you can possibly imagine gleams at night, and it reflects in the water. It really takes your breath away.
Well, the route continues, 3:30 a.m., St. Louis, Missouri, home of the world-famous St. Louis Cardinals.
2006 world champions. What a city this is. I mean, you talk about a city with excitement. It really is a beautiful place to see.
8:30 a.m., we're almost to our final destination. We're in Kansas City, home of the Royals, home of the Chiefs. It's a metropolis. The city's just coming to life. The traffic's pumping in and out on the freeway. What a city.
Well, we're finally here. We're in Kansas. The first thing we're going to do is throw our wildlife eyes out and see what we got to hunt. We just rolled in. Have no idea what we got on these farms this year, but I know we got something big. Landowner says in the last 5 to 7 days he's seen a couple really good deer. So if he says they're good, they're really good.
This is the spot. I just put our wildlife eyes out. That's our stand set where I killed mine last year. And the reason we put this stand here is because this is a travel corridor between feeding and bedding behind us. So hopefully we can catch one, in the next few days, heading to or fro. It was good to me last year.
Well, needless to say, I've had a great year for seeing deer, but a horrible year for connecting on deer. It was the first morning, it was an hour and a half into the hunt, and I thought, finally, my luck has changed.
I was just in mid-draw, and I didn't see this doe, and she must have busted me, and they boogered out of here. He didn't seem to be really scared, but he was scared enough to leave, so.
After that encounter, we figured out, hey, well, it's just the first day, no need to panic, and we went ahead and went and checked our wildlife eyes, and man, it's the same story as last year. Were we ever blown away?
Oh my, that's morning. Oh, he's killable.
You can see in the back right there, that's our food plot that landowner planted for us. And that's actually the stairway to heaven where Terry took his big buck last year. Chris is up to bat first, so we'll try him with a bow. It's going to be tough, though, because I mean, other than the super frontal, we don't have anything set up for a bow, so I don't know what we'll do.
I'm sure I'll have a great opportunity at that deer.
You never know. You've had the luck of all luck for encounters this year, so.
Well, based on what the wildlife eye was showing and what we had figured out, we kind of knew where this big buck was living. And I wanted to go try it on these beans, but there was no sets already hung, so we decided we were going to go in there and put our mare step blind up.
Eric had it backwards.
Well, the temperature had skyrocketed into the 70s. We set that night, and all we saw were some does and one 2.5-year-old 8-pointer.
That kind of puts an exclamation point on your bow season, don't it?
I'm surprised it looked like my head hanging out on my head. I didn't have much luck out of the ground blind the first evening, but, I want to crack at this big buck, and I feel like he's living right there, so I decided to go back in there. It's still 70-degree weather, high humidity. We're going to give him a shot, though. Talk about some tense moments. That deer was walking across the field, biggest deer I'd ever seen, and there came a point where I actually thought, I'm gonna get this done.
Well, that deer gets over, he gets about 75 yards. I just quit filming him because I didn't want to blow it. I mean, I figured for sure that this deer was gonna come straight to the blind, and sure enough, he did. Unfortunately, when he got to the corner of the blind, he got just a little whiff of us, and man, he boogered out.
a buck of that caliber on the ground with a bow, it would have been a dream come true.
Oh my gosh. That's the biggest deer I've ever seen. 25 yards.
I don't know what to say. Sorry.
You don't see many deer like it, I guess you look at it that way.
I felt really bad for Chris. I mean, it was a sight to see that deer, and we did everything right. We put the ground blind out, we put it in the right place, and we almost pulled it off, but hey, it's only day 3, so who knows what'll happen next.
Well, I couldn't get it done with my bow, but Eric's up to bat with his rifle. Hopefully, we can make it happen.
Well, here we are. It's gun season, gun opener. I'm going to the Stairway to Heaven, and we get there, and I see the deer that we know all too well. Would be a great deer to kill, but I elected to pass him.
I hope I don't regret that. He's 4.5. He's just a pig of a 6-pointer, but kind of hard to shoot that deer first day. There's a booner running around.
The temperature has changed so dramatically over the last 3 days. We shift from 70 down to 25 degrees, and it's sleet. And with it doing that kind of weather, we finally get the break we need. I know where we're going. We're going to that standing soybean field.
Ice. It's not raining. I don't know if I'm moving this stuff or not. That's the Merstead blind where Chris had to encounter that giant 2 nights ago, so we're on this side tonight.
Well, we got deer on the front side in standing beans, and all I know is Chris gets my attention and look through the back of the shooting house, and man, up there in the corner of the field is a sight that I'm never going to forget.
Yeah.
Okay, he's done. Yeah, man, give me some. That is a giant right there.
That's my boy.
That is a
That's
giant.
my boy.
I never thought, I don't know what to say. I don't know what to do. That's the biggest deer I've ever seen in my life. That is an absolute giant whitetail. Oh my God, what a deer. I don't know whether to cry or I don't know what to do.
I'm sure you'll cry.
That's the biggest deer I've ever seen in my life. Give me a hug, baby. Oh my God, what a deer. I tell you what, Kansas has been really good to me, and it just gave me the gift of all gifts right there. I have hunted 2 days this year.
And you got 2 deer. I'm glad everything's working out for you, buddy.
What a magnificent whitetail here on our Kansas farm. This deer we know all too well. As you can see, this is a matched set of sheds from last year that our landowner picked up, one he picked up late summer. And we knew this deer well. He's just a hard deer to get on and kill. He lived in a 5-acre weed patch over here right behind one of the barns, and he just didn't move a whole lot. You know, this year we finally got some great wildlife eye footage of him the first few days out here in Kansas, and we immediately went to putting a game plan together. We darn near pulled it off on a standing soybean field down here with him on the ground, and you know, it's one of them situations where you just gotta with those booger it out, but we didn't give up. Temperatures changed, and last night 2 inches of sleet and snow. We went down to that soybean field, and we were right on top of him next to this weed patch. That's why that shooting house is down there. And sure enough, he showed himself last night. Walked all the way across that field and gave me a shot, 75 yards, and I absolutely smoked him with that encore. He's just a gorgeous deer. He's at least 5.5, if not 6.5, and he's just, he's a monster, you know. He's got long G2s are 12 inches. He's got a 27.5-inch beam on this side, 26.5 on that one, and he's just a monster. I mean, it's the best deer of my life, and I tell you what, it's really humbling to be sitting behind a giant like this. He's a really special deer, and he's just capped off another wonderful Kansas deer season.
You know, you've always heard the term, I'd rather own the right 80 acres than the wrong 800. What we've got is 80 acres of solid brush. And as opposed to me going in the middle of it and penetrating time and again and letting those whitetails know I'm hunting them, I'm planting foods on the periphery and only hunting the outskirts and bringing the whitetails out to me. Well, what happens if you've got a spot where there is no tree, there's no place to get into?
We got our trusty Ameristep ground blind, the brick house. My theory is never leave home without it. You never know when you're gonna have a good bow set up that you need a ground blind for.
I like to take small farms and hunt them like they're big farms. And as opposed to me going in the middle of it and penetrating time and again and letting those whitetails know I'm hunting them, I only penetrate that 80 acres of solid cover 2 weeks out of the year, November 1st through the 10th. Bap. Justin and I went in there. We had more success than the law should allow. Big 178 down. Now it's back out to the fringes, and I'm on a doe mission to take these doe numbers down to help improve the land. Doe mission complete, and lo and behold, what pops out but a deer I do not recognize. I nicknamed this deer the Big Surprise because we are self-proclaimed game monitoring nuts, and I have 0.0 sheds, wildlife eye footage, velvet sightings, what have you. I have no idea who this deer is.
Another December muzzleloader season. God, you gotta love it. Going over a cut cornfield. I got Mark behind the camera filming, trying to film from 2 different angles.
John's good luck, man. Every time I'm around John, a big deer walks out. Look how he's dressed. They know he's ready for success.
Talk about drive you mad and obsessed. One day, a deer walks into your life. You have no idea who he is, no sheds from him, no wildlife eye or whatever, and he's 6 or 7 years old, he's flown under your radar screen. That puts us into overdrive. Don't know if we'll get him killed or not, but something to look forward to. sure didn't seem like he's hit real bad.
He's good. You got him. He's going down, buddy. And I'm all over him.
If I could, I would say something right now. But all I can muster up is who needs exercise when you got a heart pounding 1,000 beats per minute. Walking straight to us. I put this blind up the other day. It's my farm and it's been a tough year. These big whitetails drive us mad. We are obsessed with this guy. I call him the big surprise because we have no idea who he is. How about that, Johnny? How about that, Uncle Mark?
You did it! Congratulations!
Oh my God! It doesn't get any better than that right there.
You gotta love this, brother. 2 camera angles.
Oh my God. Oh, for as much time as we spend in the whitetail world, you have to enjoy every microsecond of a moment like this. We've got a gorgeous Iowa sunset behind us, and then an absolute giant 10-point whitetail, a deer that flew under our radar screen. He's 6 or 7 years old. No wildlife eye, no sheds that we know of, no velvet footage, but he's on the ground tonight out in this cut bean field. Oh my gosh, what an absolutely gorgeous moment. We got it from 2 camera angles. John Williams behind 1 camera, Uncle Mark behind the other. I had the easy part. It was put the Thompson center on him and pull the trigger, and he ran, he died on camera. And buddy, I couldn't be any happier right now. A smile 10 miles wide. That's gonna be hard to wipe off my face. It doesn't get any better than this. Here it looks like our season ends, but it actually just got started. We're gonna go back to the doe management mission, and the cycle starts all over again.
One other way that you can make your spot better is to never allow the deer to know that they're being hunted. Make smart choices when it comes to wind directions. Make especially smart choices when it comes to access, going both to your stand and out of your stand. Use the cover of draws, creeks, whatever you can to access hidden little hidey holes. If good access doesn't exist, perhaps you need to go in and actually create that access. We are getting to the point where more and more we use warm season grasses to create cover, but we also use tall plantings such as corn, sorghum, switchgrass, Indian grass, all of these different types of things to plant our way into a tree and out of a tree. We'll plant a warm season grass, we'll use it as the access, it creates cover, but it's also the best way to hide your approach either to a stand or from a stand. Never let them know that you're hunting them, and your spot will get infinitely better.
You know, well, Mark elaborated a great deal on access. And one of the other ways to really improve your spot or make it better is to just simply eliminate intrusion altogether. If you invested in a parcel of property and you want to use it as a recreational piece and you want to ride four-wheelers and enjoy it, by all means do that. But do it in months where it isn't as crucial, you know, maybe in the middle of summer in June and July. But by all means, if you decide that you're going to be hunting there, you know, in a weekend in October, you really don't want to be in there intruding. So trying to eliminate intrusion is very, very important.
Well, I'm getting ready here to go out and film Rod this evening. God, we all hope he kills a buck tonight. It's getting unbearable around here. The only good thing about it is it's the last weekend of hunting, so we only got to put up with it for one more weekend if he doesn't kill. But I think we stand a good chance.
That is not true.
Yes, it is true.
I mean, I don't know that I've ever been more excited getting ready for a hunt. 2 reasons, really. One, I always wanted to hunt with a good cover of snow in Illinois. Don't get it that often, and we've had snow for a week, and I knew the deer were going to be feeding. Second reason, my dad had just been in this box blind the week before doe hunting and saw this big 5-year-old that we know we have on the farm, 8-pointer. Great deer come out, and my hope was that he was going to be on a feeding pattern and come right back to that field. You know, I really am pumped. I'm trying not to get too overexcited the way this season's going, but I think tonight is going to be really special. So I'm really excited. This is a really great setup, biologic food plot. They ought to be tearing it up in this snow. It's been a great season. Whatever happens, I'm happy, but it sure would be nicer if I could get one on the ground tonight. just got this gun this year, and I haven't got a chance to break it in. I hope that it's a little action tonight.
I think we're in the right place. We got a biologic food plot out in front of us. We were just walking in. It's 1:30, it's only 1:30. There were 2 shooters in the field. We couldn't get the camera on them in time to show you, but there was 2 good shooters. It's 1:30. The field out in front of us is mauled.
It just gives you a sinking feeling when you know that you just chased 2 shooters. One of them you were hunting out of the field at 1 o'clock in the afternoon. All we could do is hope they were gonna come back. And it wasn't 10 minutes, the first doe pops out.
The more I sat there and watched doe after doe after doe pile into this Green Patch Plus field, I knew it was inevitable. This buck was gonna come back out with these does. He had to.
This field is filling up with does. I just gotta think that one of those big deer that we boogered out here walking in is gonna come back out with these does. That's what I hope anyway. He's 112. If he turns sideways, I'm gonna shoot him right there. Just tell me when you want me to go. Yes! Yes!
It has been one long season for me. This is the muzzleloader season, last weekend. And I mean, it's been a long season, and that just made my year. That big 8-pointer walked out here, gave me a 112-yard shot, and I just drilled him. And he didn't make it 40 yards out of the food plot. I am one happy hunter right now. And I'm pumped. I mean, he is a great deer. I can't wait to get down there. I'm ready to go put my hands on him right now.
Put your hands on this, buddy. Put your hands on that.
Thank you.
Oh, man.
I'm ready. Let's go see this big boy. I've been waiting to put my hands around some horn all year. Let's go see this deer.
Well, I couldn't believe it when I walked up on this deer. I mean, it was immense. I knew he was one of our older deer, but he was huge. Big, mature deer, round, the snout and head, huge neck. Don't you love the snow? And don't you love 5-year-old bucks? What a beautiful animal. This hunt really got to me tonight. This is probably as excited as I have ever been whitetail hunting. We jumped this deer out of the field, wouldn't you know it, coming in at 1 o'clock in the afternoon, and I thought we blew it, but 22 does later, here he came back, and I mean, it had me worked up. I'm still worked up. This just made my season. Look at this deer. Well, it was a big time in camp that night. We pulled in, of course, my dad, as always, when he knows I'm coming in with a deer, is the first one to pop out the door, and I couldn't wait to show him. This is the same deer we found his shed last year. And it just shows what leaving him grow 1 year will do. That's why we let him walk.
He's heavy.
We hope you enjoyed Spot On. We hope you enjoyed the hunts, and we certainly hope that you enjoyed the information. 100% Wild, 100% Fair Chase was created to help make you a better hunter, and hopefully this installment did it.
Believe me, we have made every mistake in the book. So I hope that finding a better spot or making your spot better works for you. And like Mark and I always say, thank you for choosing a Drury Outdoors product. It was created for you.
know, it truly was a great hunt in Iowa this year. I was fortunate enough to draw a tag. When we arrived here early November, the weather was absolutely perfect. And I wanted to go in and look at this place I'd hunted in probably 3 or 4 years ago. Got up that afternoon, and you know, first time in is often the best time to kill a mature animal. Been in the stand probably an hour and a half, 2 hours, and this brute come in, and I wasn't sure he was going to come within bow range, and I actually thought he was going to cross the ditch, go into the cornfield, so I hit him with a grunt call, and he turned, come in like he was on a string.
Just kicking in, baby. I believe he's gonna go down right here. He just went down, baby. Thank you, Jason Gummins. Man, I'm glad you're here with me, man, in Iowa, buddy. That's what it's all about. That's what it's all about, baby. Man, what an animal. He just don't get no better than this, baby. All right, baby. That's what we live for, man. Get an animal like that with stick and string. There he is, baby. There he is. You're not gonna lay beside this deer. Oh, man. He is an awesome 10-pointer. Got a huge body on him. I'm probably a 5.5, 6.5-year-old buck. He's definitely a mature buck, a shooter anywhere I go. But we were in a funnel area this afternoon. We had a cut cornfield probably 150, 200 yards from us. And he was just working the edge of it, I'm sure, starting to look for does. And I actually heard him grunt one time, and I wasn't sure he was going to come in within range, so I went ahead and hit the grunt call. And when he heard that, he come right straight to us like he was on a string. Man, he come in there, and I put a perfect shot on him, heart shot. He went, 80 yards from the stand. And as you can see by the footage, he fell over and within sight. So, man, I am tickled to death. We got back to camp that night. My friend Louis Payne, who had also drawn a tag, was here, and he had shot a great buck on video as well. But shot was a little bit back, so he decided to wait till the next morning.
And like you said, the best thing about it, you got a clean pass through.
Right.
You know, when you didn't push the deer, so I believe it's a good chance you could find him.
You know, I'm just praying and hoping that we can find this deer. You know, if I did clip that artery in the back, you know, those rage broadheads make a pretty good hole, so, you know, what do you do? These things happen sometimes. I just wish it hadn't happened to me, but it did. Nevertheless, you know, we're going in here to make a good effort on finding this animal, and, you know, hopefully we can recover him this morning. I don't know. We got blood here on this leaf, got blood here and here, so it's bleeding out both sides. Here's where he went into the woods here. Blood. A lot of blood right in here. Golly, I hope it didn't go down in there. God, I think this deer jumped this log. That's bad. Turn here or something. There he lays. All right. Oh, he was dead last night. Man, like I say, that's a pitiful shot. But you know, sometimes these things happen. Yeah, he's a 10-pointer. He's probably right at 130 inches. Like I say, we're up here hunting in southern Iowa. Man, I'm just tickled to death to find him. My buddy Lance, He ended up killing one yesterday evening while we was up here, got it on video. And man, we've been busting our hind ends to get this stuff on video, and we both get it done in the same evening. Of course, I didn't find this one until this morning. But, you know, he killed a big bruiser. He killed like a 150-inch 10-pointer, and I got about a 130-inch 10-pointer. He may go just a little more than that. And we both come up here and hunt this, videoing, and we get it done on the same evening. You know, that's just great.
We went in the next day, was able to find his bucks. So, I mean, it just made it a remarkable hunt that both of us was able to harvest great bucks on video the same day in Iowa. It's just a hunt I'll cherish for the rest of my life.
What else can you ask for but to come on a hunting trip with your buddies, and you know, both of you take nice deer, and all the camaraderie around deer camp and everything, you know, it's memories that'll last you a lifetime.